Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss, and we are Inside Scoop, and we are coming to you eventually. Sorry for a crazy, we've had a crazy night. Can't get into our normal program, so we are just going to be live for you on Facebook. So if you are expecting us tomorrow on your podcast, this is the way you're going to have to listen to it on Facebook. Tell everyone to go on Facebook and listen to it. Hopefully we can figure out how to do it, but we will see. So we have our Forums Forum Part 2. We have all of our guys returning. So super excited. We got Salef. What's up, man?
What's up?
And we got Rashad back. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I just gotta work off the tacos from Mexico, but it's all good.
Yeah, I know what that's like. And Kaelyn, what's up, girl? How are you?
I am so amazing. Thank you for having me once again. I had to work off the Texas barbecue off of that one.
Oh, I forgot. This is her moment. This is her moment. Now I got to
get out of here. Yeah,
always. Man, so we had a fun time. I'm sharing all this stuff. We gotta share.
Yeah, everybody, if you guys are listening, all the insiders, just share because this is our. If you're gonna be on St. Patrick's Day, having yourself a nice Guinness, can wait.
Oh, that's right.
I got my green on. I'm ready to go.
Just share the heck out of it tonight. We're not gonna. We don't have anything to watch on Netflix anyway.
This podcast has to go more viral than my other video with my phone throwing. Okay.
Dude, the video of your phone throwing was pretty beast. All right. That was good.
We told him, and it went out. Out.
That was nuts, man. That was nuts. Oh man. So again, we want to thank everyone from Virtual Fight Tour for sponsoring our show. They had a great ladies' night, and we are patiently waiting to hear what is next from them. I know that they will be sponsoring Last Man Standing at the next NASCA event. So looking forward to seeing that next month. And, let's just kind of keep hearing about who do we think is going to be that last man standing at these events. So from what I hear, there will be a lot of fighters at this event, more than in the past. So it's going to be exciting weekend, as well as Forums competitors too, because they're putting out a lot. So see everyone in April up north. And let's get into our show. So with the most topical topic that just happened last night. It did save some of my things. All right. So last night, some news happened, and there was 6 new members of John Paul Mitchell. Is that right?
JPM did some unconventional things for JPM. They don't ever pick up that many people at a time.
I was gagged. I was
and
surprised.
Especially that many juniors. Jeff, do you have the list of the names?
Yeah, I know. I know them. So
let's list them off.
The first, let's see. So we have the 2 junior females. That is Avery Presley and Isabella
Nikolai.
Yeah, Nikolai, my bad. And Isabella Nikolai and Avery Presley. So let's just talk about that. So both are 2 of the most dominant junior females right now. Avery is really coming into her own in that new division. And Isabella wins pretty much every grand that she's in. So, I see it as a smart pickup on that if they're going to want to start with younger ones and move their way up, which some people act like they forget that they've done that for years, but they always have. So, they picked up Wayne Dalglish when he was like 9 years old, so.
Those things were outliers though, Jeff.
No, they were not. Oh,
they were outliers. They didn't have this many juniors at one time.
They've had that for a while though. That still isn't that many juniors. Like when you think about it, it's 4, maybe 5. They haven't picked up a new one in a while. So I think they haven't done much picking up really, if you really think about it, in a while. So Alex was their last
they just
one
did
that they
Haley
had.
last.
So Haley and Alex. But so again, as far as having new people, they're putting all kinds of new stuff as well together. So those 2 are what's going on. I mean, listen, when I was growing up, it was Jimmy, Butch Marks, Casey, all of them were juniors. They weren't adults. They were all juniors when they got originally picked up on JPM. Plus, they had a junior team that was like Gasper. People up north. They had tons. So they've had, juniors for a while.
So here's what I'll say about that. You're right, and then let's let the guests come in and give their 2 cents.
Yes.
I think you're right, but I think the thing that I look at when I see this is I go, wait a minute. At first, I say there hasn't been a lot of junior competitors on there because the ones that you listed are true, but we look at them like, but they're so iconic,
right?
That we didn't think that they were reaches at the time. Like Wayne Douglas being on the team, like it's Wayne freaking Douglas, right?
But having,
yeah, he was at the time. Are you kidding me?
No,
with that name that he had.
Okay, I got you. But what I'm saying is like, it still is something different. You know what I mean? Like when we look back at it, we look back at them as these big, stars. But at the time, okay, they picked up another junior. They picked up it's just, I don't know. It doesn't seem as out there to me, especially with who is running the team. So, when you have Lauren and Jackson running the forms part of it,
that's the best part. They got great people running it.
Then, they're going to pick these people before it's too late, and they've already been adults for a while. So, anyways, we have Dawson Holt, we have Esteban Tremblay, we have Ben Jones, and then we also have a senior competitor, Sam Diaz. So, 6 great competitors. Let's hear some thoughts on that. We're going to go Rashad.
Of course you would put me first.
Yeah.
Right on the spot.
All right. So luckily I already had it in my head anyway. So they already got somebody for the 13 and under for this year, because I do believe that she moves up to 14, 15 next year. They got 14 to 17 division for the girls. You got 2 people for the 14 to 17 boys division, and the wins could go either or for trad weapons, trad CMX weapons. It can go either or for both. And then you got my boy Dawson, trad bladed, CMX bladed, and Sam freaking Diaz. When was the last time you seen a senior get picked up on JPM?
Yeah, it's been a while. He's been the last one since an active competitor since Kevin Thompson and Anthony Gallo were on.
But even then, I think what Rashad's saying is they were picked up before they were seniors.
Like Gallo before they hit the 30.
Gallo wasn't, but yeah.
Gallo wasn't? Okay.
No.
So I don't
think Gallo was a senior.
All right, so I need to do more of my optometry history. That's all. But how long has it been? It's kind of refreshing to see. I'm not gonna say the age, okay? I'm just saying. But it's I ain't trying to listen, okay?
He's not that old. He's a lot younger than me, actually.
He ain't trying to offend nobody.
Still, like whenever do you see? It's just refreshing to see a 30-year-old senior that is still active in the game gets picked up on the most prestigious team since the 80s, since 87 pretty much. So it's actually a good look for them, especially Sam. Like I know him, I mentioned him, well deserved, everything, like my usual phrase, let's go. Kaelyn, don't steal it this time. So it's just awesome to see him.
That's a good point, Andrew.
It is awesome to see him getting on that team. So I'm happy for all 6 of them. I almost said 5. Almost all 6 of them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. One thing, as far as I know, we're thinking, okay, they picked up a lot of people, or why did they pick this one? But one thing that they did that we always think about individual stuff, but they picked up team forms as well, because they have been, and they're like, well, let's go ahead. I don't know which one they wanted to pick up and then say, well, let's just do all of them because they're all that way. They're all together, because Esteban and Ben do weapons together, and Dawson and Ben do forms together. So keep the team together. And they got everything locked down for at least, let's say at the minimum 3 years, right? I mean, I think a lot of these competitors are going to stick around longer than that, just knowing them. So, Salef, what do you think?
Well, first of all, congratulations to all of them.
Look at this guy. So
main thing is it's definitely I think it's a smart move, because now they have someone for every age division, almost someone for every age division, and had variety of like girls and boys in it, so it's good. And of course, I'm proud of Bella joining Paul Mitchell because she's a former teammate, and I already knew she was gonna join if they asked, and it was just time. It was just like I was just waiting for that moment.
You just said something. Are you saying that you knew this call was coming?
No. I knew Paul Mitchell was her dream team and she wanted to join. So like if Paul Mitchell asked her, she would have joined no matter what. So that would I didn't know that call was coming at all, and I didn't know when she was gonna join. But I'm really happy for her too, because this is something she really wanted, and as a friend and former teammate, I fully support what she's doing right now. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to all of them. Definitely, it doesn't really change up like the fact that since they're on a different team, how I will perceive them.
Right.
So no matter what, I'm not gonna change my game or be nervous. They're gonna do their own thing. I'm gonna do my own thing and see where it takes us.
Cool. Awesome. Kaelyn, what you think?
Well, again, like Salef was saying, congratulations to everyone, because that's a huge deal. And I know for a lot of them, that's been their dream for a really long while. And, I don't know all of them super well, but I'm very proud of Sam Diaz because, as you know, Angel Diaz is Sam's brother. Angel's on Team Revolution. They're all really close. We're all really close. And so I'm just very happy that Sam is, achieving his goals and getting himself out there. And it just makes me really happy seeing the progress for the future. And I know we talk a lot about the past, and that's part of my ignorance because I don't know too much about previous years of Paul Mitchell or, the lineage of Paul Mitchell.
That's all right. That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But I think this is a huge, significant change for the future. Once these athletes start growing and progressing, at this moment, their mindset has changed. They can do what they're still doing and have been doing, but now they're representing one of the most elite teams in the world in sport karate now. And so, this is big for their future, and this is big for the future of sport karate and our, I guess, expansion in the outfield of where sport karate is.
Awesome. So a couple of these things, there's been a lot of successful, pickups like this where they've picked them up young and they've kept going on. There's also been several where they picked someone up and it lasted for like a year and then the person was out of the sport. I don't really see that with some of these guys. All of them are into it, but there may be some that maybe get into other, realms of things. Like I know that, the Presleys are active in their schools, and Jake has opportunities in film and stuff, and maybe Avery maybe as well. So maybe who knows on those things. I'm not jinxing anything. I'm just saying, there's that I talked to one last week about one of my favorite competitors from 2010, 2019. She was on JPM for like 6 months. Audrey Donahue, was a great competitor, and then was on JPM and then literally did like a few tournaments and was gone. So
right.
I think that Jackson and Lauren are working together to pick the right people. Also soon, I think we're going to have Damon on to talk about what his plans are with JPM fighting. So that's going to be interesting.
That's got to be the real question. That was a question already hey, do these guys have a team that they're fighting with? And that question is still not yet answered. After all these pickups, it's still left out there.
Yep.
But this is not a fighting topic.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Move on.
So, all right. So I have a couple of quick questions and like for and against stuff because we want to get like what your takes are on these topics, right? And so some of it may be rapid fire. Some of it may just be, all right, you go. If you want to say it, we'll figure it out as we go, and then we'll dive into some more things. So, all right. I'm just going with the first one. what do you guys think of seeds, NASCA seeds? Are you for or against them? Let's see, who wants to go first on this one? What is your opinions on them?
I'm going to go first. Oh, wait, just kidding. Rashad's going.
No, let me hear it, Kaelyn.
I was just about to say, I'm like, I've been going first all last year.
Okay, so we got Kaelyn. Kaelyn, let's see what you got.
Not this time. I'm going second. I'll call it. Go ahead.
I'm kind of back and forth with seeds. Seeds are a good way to kind of reward the competitor with points and stuff and, give that little incentive for all of them. But for the longest time, and I'm sure a lot of people in watching right now can relate to this, when you're competing, the situation kind of comes down to if it's the last four will place. We always come to that situation, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. But here's the thing. I could care less for a seed. Honestly, in my preference, I would just rather go old school in just a full shuffle. Just give us a whole random shuffle. That way, no one's complaining. Everything's randomized. There's no way for you to rig it or anything. But at the same time, it's still an incentive. But personally, I love the randomness of it all. I would much rather have it just a random order. So I'm not a fan of the seeds.
Yep. Rashad.
Yeah, I think the seeds make you play the game. I think you're right.
Yeah. Rashad.
Okay, first off, finally, I'm not going first on this one. All right. I would say this. Me, from a personal standpoint, as the person that have been going first throughout this whole time, this whole experience in NASCA, at the time, I did like seeds, even though I was going first. Like last year, I didn't really care because I wasn't a NASCA member. So I knew for a fact that my mindset was I'm going first no matter what. There's been majority of the occasions where I went second. But to be honest with you, I'm with Kaelyn on this one. I actually don't mind about the seeds. Pretty much, if it works in my favor, it works in my favor. It doesn't. I still have the mindset to do what I have to do. Now, I'll say this. For the seeds, it is a strategy. You can look at it as a strategy game, whereas like, okay, if you're going last, you can see who is doing what in what division for that division. And you have that time to make a small adjustment or like a quick transition adjustment. Whichever adjustment you make, it all depends on the type of seed. Now, if you're going first, my mindset is to like, okay, you got to set the bar pretty much. So it's all a big strategy game for that part. But me personally, I really don't mind the seeds because, again, I don't mind going first this time. I won't say that, even though I do complain a lot. But I'm
gonna jump in off of. Sorry, Rashad. I'm gonna jump in on what you said. I almost like going first sometimes. It gets yourself out the way, and this is gonna come back to bite me. You watch.
I mean,
but sometimes I like going first because I'm like, I want to show them what I have right now. I don't want to stand and keep getting the jitters. I don't want to stand and get in my head about what other people are doing. And, I hate going last. A lot of people hate going last, honestly. I do. It's not fun. Or second to last. We have a lot of people to go through. That's annoying.
Now rebuttaling that and also rebuttaling of what you said about the stereo comment, whereas the last four goes, the last four is going to place. I mean, there's numerous occasions where there's some people that went first or second, they actually took the win in that division. So, like,
that does happen.
Well, I mean, there's always ways for that to happen. I mean, but still, I think most people are saying in the majority, that is what happens.
Right.
So.
No, but that's my actual opinion about seeds. I don't really mind it. Like, it was helpful to go last or second to last. And if you're going first, like, just set the bar. So that's my opinion towards that.
Salef.
I basically had the same perspective as they do. Like, I don't mind it. But what gets me is knowing the fact that people are seeds. And as a judge, you since you see them more often, that's why they're seeded. Like, that the judges already know who they are, and that's why they're possibly going to be placed. So the one thing, again, I think it goes more towards of the judge. Like, don't, just because these people are seated does not mean people who aren't seated aren't as good, or like they should be.
Right.
Everybody should be judged as equal as the people who are seated. You see what I'm saying? Like, like Sensei Jeremy here, he made a good point. Judges definitely favor people who are seeds, and it gets frustrating at some points. But I mean, for me, since I'm actually not scared of people who are seeds anymore, I actually don't mind going first, because I do, as Kaelyn said, I really just want to get out of the way real quick. And like, I hate the whole waiting game.
I'm scared of nothing.
Yeah,
right. Like, I hate the whole waiting game.
I mean, I'm gonna rebuttal that as well, like, especially a person that does so many divisions.
Well, yeah, I can't really argue.
If there's a lot of people in their seeds, I'm like, okay, I'm glad there's a lot of people. And there's gonna be seeds and stuff that. So I'm like, I have enough time to get ready for the next division.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably the one good thing about it, is that you have a gap between you and your next division, because you have the people in front of you if you are seated in all of those divisions. Most of the time, if you're seated in one, you're probably going to be seated in the other. That means you're going to enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, I've been at the Battle of Atlanta in 1995. I was the number 1 seed, and there was 45 competitors, and so I had a long time to wait, and I was 11, and I'm sitting there like trying to get pumped up, and trying to get warmed up. Yeah, it was.
Really can't comprehend what you just said.
The most that I had
was 45 competitors.
And no math, guys. Concrete floors.
The most I had was 24 in the 15-17 girls division when I first started. 24. They didn't split it. I wish.
Can I throw this out there? Go. This past weekend, I went to a tournament in Mexico. Well, I was there for a seminar, and they let me compete at a tournament. 44 fighters in the lightweight division.
Nice. Dude, it's like that there, man.
Like, there is some hidden talent in Mexico. I'm going to tell you
there is.
How many heavyweights?
36. Devin Hopper took first. Devin Hopper took that division.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been to tournaments in Mexico, and one time there was 65 in men's Japanese forms, and they were still doing the first 3 went first for their score, and they judged all the rest. And Ramel won, though. He went first and won the whole division, though, and beat all 65 of them. So.
I remember that scoring system.
Here's one thing I did that was very interesting. They did the match was kind of weird. It was how we underbelts have like a 5x5 ring, right? Sure. The rings was a 5x7.
Oh, okay, that's weird.
And the reason for that is because they did WKF style head-to-head kata division.
All right,
like underbelts to black belts.
All right,
like that was something that was very interesting, and it helped. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, wow, that's like the quickest way to get the katas done.
Yeah,
technically.
But at the same time, it like leaves room to like.
Huh?
It's the worst customer service. Exactly. Go ahead and say it. Say it, Kaelyn.
Yeah. They had that in WKF, and you know how when you're doing a kata and you have 3 judges or 5 judges watching you so intensely on what you're doing. Imagine trying to divide that attention, and then someone slips up and they don't catch it.
There was a lot of people. There was one girl that literally like stepped off the mat, stepped on her bag, and went into a full split.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm not just talking about that. I'm just talking about like little steps.
Of course, but...
I'm talking about like little steps, like missteps, or like your hand goes in a different place, or you take too long of a pause. If you're watching someone else, you're not going to be super focused on what the other person is doing, even if they do mess up. So those people might not catch it. And that's kind of what worries me about that system, if that ever gets implemented.
So I'm going to say this, what one guy told me.
Just to see what happens.
Yes, Jackson.
Just to see what happens. Oh, no, we got to do the extreme forms.
I will say this. I was actually thinking about that while I was in Mexico, but I will say this of what one guy told me when I did creative forms, which I have a story about that, by the way. When I did
right.
creative forms and trying to get like a 10-second rundown what to do in a division, like what can I flip, can I not flip? The guy told me this, mijo, this is Mexico. You could do whatever you want. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Mijo,
it's true. It's true.
He just kind of hold up his arms like,
Mijo,
whatever.
that's great.
All right, so going off of seeds, it kind of goes to the next question, which is kind of what goes next is what type of league do you guys prefer? Total points like how NASCAR is now, or a year end of the year championships, where if you have that, you would not have seeds all year long, and then you would have seeds at that last event, i.e. like Super Grands was back then, or say like a WKC Worlds or something like that. And what would you like to see NASCAR keep or change the way they do it? All right, so we're going Saleh first on this one.
Oh, dang.
Right on there.
Well, I would like to see it more of like, how could I explain? Almost like how you have to develop like in boxing, where you start off from rookie, then in order to go to the next stage, you're beating all the rookies, then you go into amateurs. Then the only way for you to go professional, you beat all the amateurs, then you start going professional. But you can't be number one in professional right away. You start beating like the top 10, starting from whoever top 10. You beat the first one who's in 10th. Then you fight the next person who's in the next level. Somewhere around that idea in NASCAR with forms, like the whole.
So like do
the reason why.
And then double and then triple.
Yeah. Like,
is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like I feel like we should have almost like a professional league at the end of the year, where anyone who plays consistently top 2, any division, could go like compete against each other, and it doesn't matter what age. It would be interesting to see everybody in like the same division, because if you think about this, have you ever? I don't know if I'm the only one, but there's been times when I went into the finals and I actually get bored because it's just not the competition what I was looking for. But you realize there's more people who watches runoffs, because in runoffs, it's more interesting. There's more of a competition there, because the people who won the elimination round are the people who's going to go against runoffs. And that's the interesting.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, they won. What are they going to do now? Are they going to change up their game in runoffs? And then they go to finals, and then since the finals are like a little bit different, I know some people kind of take it easy during finals, and you're like, well, there's no point. That doesn't really make it interesting at all.
You've already
I feel
beat
like
the
there
harder
should be
competition, and
exactly.
You've already beat the harder competition.
Yeah, like I think.
And
I think
mostly
no
you're probably talking about from a
there
junior
should
perspective.
Just kidding, Rashad.
Yeah.
There should be some kind of like system where we have like rookies, not like underbelts, like consistency of like where are you placing, and this is where you belong. So if you're consistently placing like top 10, you're professional probably, and then under, you got to beat these amount of times or consistently place this amount of times, then you go into professional. Like my thing is, if you're gonna make finals interesting, you can't break down the runoffs. I think runoffs should technically be the finals already.
So as far as when you're saying that, I mean, I agree with that for adults. I definitely do. I think there's too many for juniors, but I mean, they've just broken down the divisions way too much, in my opinion. But I mean, I think for juniors, yeah, you're right. Like the runoffs is where most of the, everyone's there, because you just don't know. And it's high level competition. Adults, most of the time, until recently, we didn't have runoffs, until everyone's trying to do an overall grand or whatever. And then one's to save time. I still think you can put everybody on stage and make it a big deal,
exactly
with it. But let's see. So you kind of did a whole nother kind of answer, but that's fine though. That's good. Kaelyn, year-end championships or total points?
Why don't we combine it?
In which way?
Yes. That was the right answer, Kaelyn.
Yeah.
Total points, end of the year championships for the top winning people. Either top 2 or top 3 go to the finals for their divisions and get their show.
But they have to compete to do it.
But they have to compete to do it. Yeah. They have to total up those points.
Kind of like, yeah.
Just because, hey, Jeff, what does that sound like?
Well, I'm just saying it's like the NBA. Like you do you have regular season, and all the awards like the MVP and stuff are based on the regular season, right? And then you have the playoffs. So, I mean, I think that could be something like you give the awards like you have, and then you have either end of the year or you have, or of course, or like NBL, and you have a world championships at the end of the year. But what I think, and what the way you're saying it, Kaelyn, is like taking the top 2 or whatever and had them go off against each other for the finals or something, or maybe the top 3.
Correct. I mean, they kind of did that for the virtual WKC, where they totaled up points from some of these qualifiers and then nationals, and then they invited those people that placed in the top. I think they flew them down to Florida for that final championship. It's a very select few. They competed, and then whoever won.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So what I was saying was go ahead, Alex.
But with Jeff, what Kaelyn is saying, I just want to understand that. So are you saying, so the total points, the winners just get you into competing for the final? Is that what you're saying?
Trying to think of an easier way to put it. So you win at, let's say you get first place at a tournament. You get a certain number of points, right?
Yes.
However many points you get throughout the year, if that totals up to get you, say, over a certain higher number compared to the rest, there's your qualification to go to the final. But what?
So that gets you to be the number 1 seed. Let's just say.
Yes.
At the end of the year. You're the number 1, but you still have to compete to be crowned the champion. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
But are you saying divisional wise, or are you saying like an overall grand champion type?
You can combine it. You can give extra points for those grand champions that they win at those individual tournaments. They kind of do that here in MSKC, where they get extra points for winning a grand champion in your division. But they don't have the end of the year championships like Super Grands did.
Right.
But I would like to see that implemented. I think that would be a pretty cool idea.
So, Rashad, I'm going to get to you in a sec. So, one of the things that we did, so how Super Grands would have, the winners, right, and all that whole week, but then they'd have an overall grand of the top 4, whoever had the top 4 scores of the whole weekend, and they went for the overall grands. So there was that. But also a local league that we did is that everyone who won their division, let's say we took the black belts, the adult black belt, forms and weapons, right? We had a grand championship at the banquet. Everyone who won their division for the total points was entered in that. Plus, anyone who won a grand championship throughout the year was entered that. So we had about 8 people, maybe, that competed for this overall year-end champion of champions type thing, right? And so we have entertainment for the banquet, and we're really crowning the best of everybody, right? So you bring it. And so we did that for juniors, we did that for fighting, we did that for women's fight. So we had 4 grand championships, and it was really fun. And I think something like that would be cool, I
would like to see that happen. I really would.
All right, Rashad.
Okay, first off, before I talk about my opinion about that, I went back to the comments and I saw Jackson's comment about what I did in Mexico. No, I did not flash kick him. Those fighters were on point. Okay, let me tell you that. Except for the first one where I just stood there and just like, bah, he walked into my back. That's a different story. But no, those fighters were on point, man. There's really hidden talent in Mexico. Like, if they have a chance to come to the States, like, we have to be ready. I'm just letting you know. But going back to this topic, pretty much I would like to see NASCA would make a little change as to compete at the end of the year for the NASCA champion. Total points. I've been in that situation twice. I was, for some reason I skipped a year for some reason, but like the first time I did it, I made top 10. Skipped the year. Then the year 2019, I got world champion in creative bladed weapons. So I've been in that side of the spectrum. So with that part where you're talking about NBL, where it's total points from different conferences, and then they go to the final tournament at the end of the year, I actually would like to see that in NASCA. I mean, it's a different change. Change is good, but you just got to try it out for 1 year and see if everybody agrees to doing that. Actually, last year during the pandemic, I believe, still a little bit, we're still during the pandemic. ProMac actually did that. Kaelyn, what you were talking about, ProMac actually did that. Total points from 2 of the conferences, Southern Conference.
Yeah, they're doing that this year as well.
Cool.
Oh, same thing this year? Yeah, they literally did that. And they still get awards for like accumulating points, but also they went to the ProMac championships. Whereas if you are first in your division, you are invited to that tournament. And it was like literally the day before Battle of Atlanta in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it actually happened like that for that circuit. So in NASCA, I would like to see that, at least try that for 1 year and see how it goes for everybody. I mean, for me, I think it's a little more legit to get a NASCA champion like that. It is still legit to get a point-wise NASCA champion, but I just want to see how this goes for at least 1 year.
Right. I mean, I think right now it's more, I feel like overall, especially with the top competitors, it's more important to win a big tournament than to win the NASCA title. That's just my opinion. I've done it all. I've won a NASCA title. I've won overall, like whatever, having the most grand championship points, all of that. But winning at like a big high level tournament like the Battle or US Open or Diamonds, even just winning first place, and a lot of times it's more of a big deal, It's more
rewarding.
It's a bigger deal because it's anticlimactic to be all of a sudden just like, I'm the world champion. When a month ago, I wasn't a world champion. No event transpired between then and now, but now I'm the champion. So that's the weird thing. And there's no way to build up the sport for this championship. The only way you know that someone was the champion is when they walk across the stage at AKA. And the only way you know that or see that is if you were also one of those champions who's getting an award as well. Otherwise, you can't even be in the building because it's invitation only. So it doesn't make any sense to do it that way.
Right.
I mean,
but
I'm
I
just
like
saying.
what you guys are saying, and it's interesting, Jeff. Isn't it interesting? The further we get removed from NBL, the more people want to do what the NBL did.
Yeah.
So
don't get me started.
Why didn't it work? Because the NBL did everything we're talking about.
Well,
Jeff, you talked about just now. You said sometimes people wanted to do bigger tournaments, but yet you'd still see a Willie Hicks go to Super Grands.
Right.
When he was already Willie Hicks. Right. You see Raymond Daniels. Right.
Jack, all those guys.
Yeah. They would go to Super Grands. All right. But they wouldn't, but they're not registered with NASCA.
No.
You see what I mean? So
I competed in NASCA for a long time and didn't register at all. Last year was the first year that I actually registered for NASCA.
And I gotta register this year.
The fact it's not the fact that you have
a seed, honestly.
Right. But
I didn't even care about winning the title. It was just to have a seed and hopefully be fourth. As long as I was fourth.
That seems to be I don't want to knock NASCA in any way, but that seems to be the only incentive when it comes to a registration is to keep track of your points and how you're doing against other people, and then a seed.
A long way.
That's it.
Again, I'm going to give you a back in the day thing, Kaelyn. So when I started NASCA, all right, it was only actually the first year, I guess as a black belt. I competed as an underbelt. But the first year in 93, they were just doing 1 seed. So the number 1 competitor was seeded every time, right? Then they went to 2 seeds. Okay, so it was 2 seeds. But here's the deal. If you were number 1 at that tournament, you were ranked, your division was comped. So your division was free for that tournament. So
incentivize it. Even more than just paying for points.
If you won your division, and you were a champion, NASCA champion, you didn't have to pay for your registration fee the next year for NASCA. So they've taken all those things away. that were great, and the league was way, overall was bigger because there were actually like the top fighters registered back then. The top forms competitors registered back then. There was incentive for that. So, so yeah, I mean, I'm just saying we've gotten so far away from that. So now the only incentive is to hopefully one day get in the top 4 seeds, which I even think is too much. I still think, the reason why they did that is because they took away the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, the worst thing they ever did though was one year, how they have, was there like 12 tournaments? So your top 9 or your top 7 points count. Do they still do that? Or they just count all of it? It hadn't been like, it used to always be that your top 9 points.
I never understood that. Like, I thought it was like, okay, take all the points that you got from all the tournaments that you went to, and you just add them all the way up to the end. I still don't understand.
They did it top 9, so that way it wasn't just. They were trying to make it so it wasn't just whoever went to the most tournaments, right? And
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, your best 9.
You're either incentivizing or not incentivizing.
Right. But one year in 97, they went and they said everything counts, even regionals, nationals, everything.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, and so you had people going to like 30 tournaments and all of them counting. Everywhere. It was insane.
I know somebody that does that now. Shoot, goodness. Just saying.
But
he
so yeah, guys,
me, so I'm just
there's lots of options, on that, and again, I mean, it's good for us to hear what you guys are thinking about that. All right, next thing, what is your opinion of world leagues, and would you like to see, certain ones get bigger here in the States? Have you competed against them in them? Who wants to go first on this one?
I want to go first. I actually do want to go first on this one.
All right.
Okay, so I say this by experience. My first ever, well, I technically went to, this is my second one, but my first legit one, I'm not going to knock off on the other one, was Waco Worlds 2021 when I went to Jesolo, Italy. I will say, like, for the past times that I watched Waco Worlds Forms Division, last year was the best one I ever seen. Best one that I've been a part of, at least. Well, even though that was my first year, best one I ever seen throughout all the years that I watched. And it's literally like I think the most was like 12 to 15 people, different countries. Some of them had 2 representatives for their country. I was the male representative. Olivia Randall was the female representative, and we both took our gold in our respective divisions. I believe we both did 4. And honestly, that was the best experience ever. So I would like to see at least Waco Worlds will be held in the United States. Like, I know I did live streams for Waco Worlds for some of the USA fighters. And I did mention a comment, like, some people should try it out because it is a different experience outside of NASCAR. Even though some people do WKC, different circuits in the United States and all that type of stuff, I believe it is a different field for competitors like us to actually venture out. And on top of that, Waco, it is recognized by the Olympics committee. So it's a different experience, but I'm glad to
it's a
be
recognized sport. It's not an Olympic event.
Right.
Not yet. Hopefully. Right. I'm sure not soon. Well, hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
Right.
Hopefully. I'm just going to manifest that. Hopefully. But it is recognized by the Olympics committee. I would say that. And it's a different experience, but fun experience at the same time.
Right.
Because there was one, I will say this before we go to the next person. There is one Indonesian guy you would not expect for them to be a very good tricker. They are really, really good trickers. And another one from Italy, another one from Russia. There's some really good trickers out there that we don't even know about. Like just how I explained Mexico, there's some hidden talent hidden talent fighters in Mexico. There's some hidden talent forms outside of the United States, like in Europe, in Africa, and in different countries. So it's a different experience, and I want people in the United States to at least try different world leagues. So I say do it. I say go for it.
Yep. All right. Kaelyn, I think you have some experience as well. Have you done some WKC?
I've done WKC a significant amount of times and a few WKF tournaments that were kind of sanctioned together for WKF when I was a little bit younger. But I did WKC a good majority of the time, and that's kind of all I knew. But I now realize that I feel there might be too many different variations of world champion.
Yeah.
That's just me. Because I'm tired of explaining to people that, so you're a world champion. Are you going to the Olympics? Well, no. WKF does that.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that a world champion too? Yeah, but WKF's over here, and then WKC's over here. But then you have WKU, and then you have WACO, and then you have these regional kind of area tournaments across the country that also qualify as world championships.
Yeah.
It's too many.
It makes us look funny.
It makes us look cheap.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Here, take a world champion. Take a world championship. Take a world championship, you know?
Boxing's no different. People think of boxing.
I was literally thinking about boxing.
You're the lightweight champion. There's that. That's it. That's you.
There's like six
of them.
Right.
Separate.
Yeah.
Either separate or come together and stop fighting, please. Get along.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I'll explain a funny story about that in a second, but I'll let Salef go what he thinks and if he'd ever do one.
Yeah, I don't really have any experience with any like world league, but I would definitely like to go one because I just want to see where I kind of place around the world.
Yeah.
But and otherwise, like I don't really know much about other leagues besides NASCAR. So, I mean, I was invited to go to London, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I hope one time I could at least go to one and see what was it like. But
right.
I really like WKC when it was very overseas in my eyes because they had a lot of different locations. You know, they had Spain. They had Italy, they had Portugal, they had Ireland when it wasn't done every year, Florida. I would like to see, you know, if they have tournaments in more, I guess, different countries, I would like to see Germany,
more of a world.
Scotland, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe more out there, Greenland, Switzerland.
I
mean, they have these other countries that come to WKC and they march in the opening ceremony.
I think
why can't we get together with some of them and come up with something?
Sorry. But I think as far as having more like countries and variety in that, WKU actually does a real good job of that because they have a lot of different ones each year. You know, like they're doing Wales this year. They were planning to do Quebec, which hasn't been one that they've done before. Before that, it was in Austria. Before that, it was, you know, Greece. Before Spain, you know, Italy. They've had different ones. They've had a lot of, you know, variety. You know, when I went and did my WKA one in 2001, which at the time it was WKA or WACO, and you couldn't do both from the same year. Those were the two world leagues, and so they even had rules against that, which I think they finally – WACO still has those, but I think the other leagues don't have those anymore. They got rid of that.
WACO is very restrictive.
Yeah, very restrictive.
They make it hard for you to do another league and still do them.
Yeah.
Which is why you see that, Kaelyn.
Right. And so when I went there, it was Vienna, Austria, and there was great competition, you know. And the one thing I always wanted to do WACO, but the problem is like – at that time, WACO, you go and you do one form and you're there for the whole week and that's it, you know. Instead of a top 4 or top 2 go to finals like WKC or WKU does, you know.
That's what I like about WKC.
Yeah,
that they have certain days for certain times and eliminations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You have total points, blah blah blah.
Right. You know, and now WKC also has an overall grand, so you can make some type of money for the end of the week. So they modeled a lot of that off of the way NBL did Super Grands. So
I think the format from year to year of WKC is the way to go.
the regionals to the super regionals.
I think it all.
To the nationals.
I love the format of WQC. I love it. Right.
Yeah.
But I think you look at some of the top level participation and the buildup around Waco, and you're like, can we get this together? I still don't believe, because like when people say like, oh, you're the real fighting champions of Waco, and I go, no. The U.S. has still got the best. The U.S. has still got the best fighters in the world, so I don't care what you say.
That's why we have those championships from the world to find out.
Right. But what was Oh, all right. My fun story. So, all of us go to our friend Bear Loby's wedding, right? We're all in his wedding. It's Edgar, myself, Corky Sykes, Tim Conkle is there, Nick Bateman is there, all kinds of old school NBL guys and some current guys, right? And the whole time, everyone is arguing over who has the most world titles, and it's just hilarious, right?
Fantastic.
Well, his fiance wife, Heather, one of her maid of honor, was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, she was a diver, right? And at a high level. And she's like, you guys, did they just give everyone a world title? I mean, how do y'all have 24 or 35 world titles? Like, there's one world champion in diving. Like, that's it. Like, so
because no one can get along.
Look, it's just so silly. It's just so crazy. You know what I mean? And also too, we have so many divisions too.
That's true.
And age groups and everything. So it's a lot different. Our sport's a lot different. Hopefully we can figure it out and maybe use what we have, our current system, to get into some type of, there's got to be another way to make it a little bit more official.
Just hearing that, like bringing it back to boxing, and how you said you have like multiple boxers that has multiple like champions. The thing about that is with boxing, you could challenge that person who has the belt to take their belt away.
Exactly.
So if you think about it, why don't we try that for NASCAR? Like who's ever winning, you could take their win and you're the winner until your streak is broken. Then your belt is taken away.
Right.
So if you think about it, technically we can, but I don't know why NASCAR hasn't thought about that. Like,
wouldn't. It would be other.
Yeah, I feel like we should be inspired by other sports.
Yeah, I think it would be other promoters that aren't NASCAR promoters that would actually find a way to do that. So we would just maybe just gave a good idea to some people. So
I still think that's a good idea for NASCAR.
Like
though.
A championship for like someone who's winning weapons or whatever, and then someone who's winning empty hand with traditional. I think it'd be a lot easier for people to know who is consistently winning.
Let's say this.
It's broken.
Let's look at that. Let's say, imagine that. It's the last event of the year. We're at the last End World Championship. Salef, you're the number one for men's CMX. Rashad, you're the number one for men's CMX weapons. Kaelyn, you're the number one for women's CMX weapons. But then Steve Terrada's like, I'm gonna make a comeback. Salef, let's see what you got going on. All right. Jackson's like, all right, I'm gonna dust off this bow, see what I got.
Doesn't that happen at US Open?
Comes back.
Doesn't that happen at US Open?
I mean, this happened. How you would never not watch that?
Right.
You'd be like,
but doesn't that happen at US Open? Though? In some ways, that happens at US Open. And that's my next question I want to ask. What do you guys think about that format? This may be one of our last questions because that's an interesting one.
It won't take long.
All right, because that's an interesting one. It's kind of like, okay, we have a tournament, and we have all these, regular grands. But then also we're going to look at how you've done over the past year, and we're going to go ahead and have a potential list of who should be on stage. But you can, maybe, if we like you, knock that person out. I mean, it can happen. So what do you guys think about that? This year is going to be interesting because, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, only 4 events before US Open. So, and not everyone is going to all of them. So
2, isn't it? Isn't
it?
We
already had AAs. We already had Compete.
Oh, okay.
We have Ocean State and we have Battle. So 4 events for them to look at who's done well so far. You know.
Okay. Hypothetically speaking, gotcha.
So I mean, yeah. So what do you guys think?
Most people don't even know how you get on stage at US Open.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. And honestly, when we did our episode about that, we got so much hate from the people that are involved in picking. That wasn't how it is. I'm like, you should have told.
Okay, then like, how is it?
Exactly. Then tell us how exactly it is. Because if I've been in it at US Open many times, I've been on stage, and I still don't know how it was. And I told the story about them waiting until 7 p.m. and say, yeah, we'll just go ahead and have the traditional grands, the NASCAR traditional grands as the ISKA traditional grands.
I didn't even know that NASCAR and ISKA were two different things until I got on stage at the US Open.
Exactly.
I didn't find out I was going on stage until my runoffs division had finished. And I had gotten second place. And they said, well, we're going to take the top 2 to stage. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they took the top 4, which I'm fine with. I don't care because those are amazing people. But the fact that I had no idea what was going on or how you even got on stage or earned your spot on stage.
Right.
It makes it a little frustrating.
Every year's a little different. Go ahead, Salef.
The times where I've been on stage, I'm gonna be honest, I still don't even know how I made it on stage. Like all I just remember is like doing that whole like thing where we had to tell them what's our form like, send them the video, and then hopefully you pray that you could go on stage. Like everyone could do that, I'm pretty sure. But I remember
time out.
Like
Say what
doing
you just
it.
said again. Say what you just said again. Who did you send a video to? Did
Yeah.
you guys know anything about this?
You sent a video?
Well, guys, you're talking about last year where it was completely different. In the past,
I didn't go last year.
Different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
like
in a regular
few times
season,
I went, like I had to like tell them what I'm doing in my form and send them the video and to explain. So like just in case if I do go to on stage, they know what I'm doing, so they could.
So that they can commentate on it. Okay,
they could comment.
But you would think that you would have someone.
Yeah, that's
they already picked you. You were already going to be on stage.
Yeah, you're already picked. Yeah,
you were already picked.
So that I remember doing that, but they said it wasn't 100%. It was more like just in case, because that was the whole wild card. They called it. They called it the wild card. So if I lose, I still have a chance to go on stage, and they called that the wild card. But
see, he knows what he's doing.
I really didn't. I mean, I got chosen, so I'm like, oh,
you
okay.
ain't. No. I was talking about Jackson's comment.
See, but it's not bad. I don't mind that the U.S. Open says, you know what, we're just going to do whatever the heck we want.
Right. I was thinking that same thing. I was like, I wonder even if after this they're just going to keep it a mystery, that they're just going to, keep their own strategy, and they're going to be like, who's it going to be this time, guys?
I see why Jackson's in the chat. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
ATA does a one where it's like an invitationals, or they pick their top 2 for each division, and you have to qualify by sending a video, and then they send it in, then they do a random voting or whatever. I'm not sure of the process, and then they just have those people that were picked after whatever they've done going head to head after they had a tournament during the day. But whatever happened during the tournament that day, that didn't matter. It was already picked and chosen, and so that is on ESPN as well. So ATA has something like that, and they do it like that. And to me, it's more organized than the way, the US Open has it. But again, US Open's done something that most other tournaments haven't. So again, big up to them for getting an ESPN. I know it sounds like all we ever do is complain about the tournament. It's just confusing because we some people, and even honestly, Black Belt Magazine and Jackson have made it to where it's almost like the Super Bowl, because if you win that, then you are actually featured as the champion, as the Black Belt Magazine champion, until the next year. So, and then the rankings are underneath that. So, so we would like to know how it all works, because if you're going to be featured as that big one, it would be nice to know how it works, right? It's just like if this was the end of the year championship, all of us would know what our process would be to get there, correct? So,
Jeff,
I think that needs to be the same way.
I got one last question because I know we're pressed for time, both on the pod and because we got started late.
Yeah.
But so all of us here, when I say us, I mean you three, all right? You guys are a part of teams and maybe or maybe not have any kind of kickback or compensation for being a part of that team. Don't disclose any of it if you don't want to. That's not what I'm getting at. But I guess my question to you is, how much do you give your team and sponsor? How much energy, time, and motivation do you give that team or sponsor? And then before you answer, I want to tell you the reason why I'm asking this question is I started looking at, okay, we all see Gabrielle Dunn on every single Century ad. I'm going to tell you right now, Century is making a killing off of that, right? But it's not just her. It's like the Plowdens as well. Yeah. I will tell you this. There would be no reason for any type of kickback or compensation for a tournament, right? If she got paid what any kind of talent agency would pay her to do something like that. We're talking thousands upon thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. My little brother, this is a true story, was on an ad. I think he was like 10 years old for like.
You have a brother?
Yeah, I got a little brother. My brother's
I'm sorry.
He's my brother's funny, man. I mention him every now and then on the pod.
I'm sorry. I have an older brother and an older sister. Okay, I got
a younger brother. My brother is weird, right, Jeff? All right. Anyway,
go ahead.
That's the point. He did an advertisement for Joe Boxer. He was wearing these like pajamas, right? But he got paid for doing the shoot. But they chose that shoot. They chose those images to be a part of the packaging. And I think he got like over $10,000 just because it was on a little piece of packaging, right? So imagine now let's look at this. Let's use Century, Macho, whatever. They're advertising. If they kicked back any kind of, fair compensation, your team sponsorship means nothing. Now, I don't know if you guys have done anything like that, but I'm just curious as to what you guys feel like, because now you're on the young end. Rashad, not so much you. You're right in the middle now as far as longevity, as far as being, on this national scene. And for a team, what do you guys feel about this?
What was the question?
About your team sponsorship, time, and energy. How much do you guys give to that?
Much we put into it? Okay.
So it's like an example of what Gabrielle does with Century, pretty much, and AKA.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Who wants to go? They're stumped.
How did that stump you? Kaelyn, let me hear what you got.
Oh, okay. Well, I really like to promote the things that I use because I use them. If they're given to me, then I'm going to use them. I have Team Revolution is sponsored by Century, and so whatever they may give us or what we may purchase, obviously we're gonna throw that out on social media. We're gonna wear it on your uniforms, loud and proud. And
why?
What do you mean why?
Why do that?
Because they're a good company. It deserves that attention.
But did they pay you?
Why do you want to know?
I'm just curious. No, that's why I'm just curious. I'm just, you could be like, because I just feel like it, Alex, so shut the hell up. I'm just curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
It differs from company to company, but
okay.
I don't think I'm the right person to ask for that or to ask that kind of specific stuff, if that makes sense. Yeah, but makes sense. I'm sponsored by Bukai Yushu. Where's the patch? It's somewhere. It should be on me, but it's not. Bukayushu gives me weapons. And so I'm going to use those weapons and I'm going to put those out on social media because they make good products and they make good weapons. And the longevity of those weapons matters and the quality of what I'm using matters. And so I'm going to, push that name if it's something that I can use and use for a long time. That's quality.
Now, let's say someone like, and it's not dogging them, let's say Asian World of Martial Arts was like, yo, Kaelyn, we want to sponsor you. We're going to give you these weapons. This is the weapon. And you're like, this thing's a tree trunk. I'm not.
A tree trunk. Sounds more like Rashad's game if it's a tree trunk.
Burn.
No, it's not a. No, oh, you were talking about like a really thick bow that's not pretty, like not usable at all. Okay, I see what you mean now. I'm sorry.
I've been there before.
That was not a burn. That was not a burn on Rashad. I genuinely thought it was a tree trunk.
Oh.
I had a moment. I'm sorry. This is my moment, Rashad. It's not yours. I promise.
Oh man.
Anyway,
you got two weapons to choose from to run from. You got the broom and my phone. So you better choose your pick.
So what would you do if they were like, here, we want to sponsor you. We're going to pay you X. This is what we want you to use.
Well, a good sponsor would collaborate. They would say, here's what we can do for you. I would say, is there any way that we can modify this? What can we do? How do you want this? Stuff like that. But if they're, money is not, I hate to sound like really cliche, but money is not everything. If it's something that I'm not going to use, I'm going to say no.
Right.
Good.
Got it. All right.
I don't know if that's the answer you wanted, but that's the answer I'm giving.
No, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Well, as of right now, I don't think AKA is sponsored just yet. But since Sensei has done so much for me, and I love Team AKA, every tournament there would be like at least 5 people, like parents, kids, always talking to me, asking about Team AKA, and I always tell them if like they would ask, how do I get good as you? I just always tell them you should come to our boot camps. They will help you out. Like come down for like our boot camps. We will help them out there. Or
that's a little different. Sharkies. You know why that's a little different, Salef? Because that is a family that you are a part of.
Right.
Yeah.
Because without compensation, you would be there no matter what. That's a little different.
It really is.
But let's say another company wanted you to say, hey, we want to sponsor this thing for you. All right, we're going to pay for these 4 tournaments for you to go to. But here's what we need from you, Salef. It's not just wearing the uniform. We need you to send in videos of you training. We need you to be posting. We need you to do an interview with these people. We need you to do this. We need
most
you to
should
do
be
that.
doing that anyway. In this day and time, most should be doing that anyway because social media is so prevalent. So.
Right. So, but then when does it turn into a sponsorship or an employee?
Or a job, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's my question for you guys. I don't know what you guys do with that. I draw hard lines, but what do you think about that?
Oh, she got me there.
I feel like
I
this
do
is
it because
a
I want to.
question.
Yeah.
Rashad can't answer. Rashad is more equipped to answer this because he's been
Rashad hasn't talked for a while. Rashad, you want to take it?
Hey, the Black Mamba moves silence. It's deadly.
All right, let's go.
All right,
like
but I'll answer.
sleeping.
Don't. I'll answer. Okay. Mostly is because I do it because I want to. Mostly, my sponsor, at least with the weapons, is 10th Degree Weaponry, and he doesn't ask for much. He does say promote the weapon because his company is out in California, so I just promote the weapons. Just pretty much just do videos with the weapon. I started doing that in like 2014 when I first bought my first pair of double bows, and he doesn't like pick everybody. I would say that. I don't know how he works. I don't know how he operates. So I'll be honest with you, to this day, I still don't know how he operates, Mr. Mike. But I'm fortunate to be a sponsor for that company for his weapon supply. So pretty much I just promote the weapon. I don't, sometimes when I make videos, like I don't like necessarily think like I'm promoting the weapon. It's just because I like 10th degree weaponry. I like how they are used. I like how he makes it. There's some weapons that I wish he makes, but I understand that he doesn't make them anymore. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna disclose that. You're probably gonna see it at Ocean State. That's all I'm gonna say. But is some weapons that he doesn't make, but are very exclusive that I'm fortunate to have. I will say that. So stop. Awesome. The broom is right over there.
I know the broom is over there.
Okay, I would literally go over there, grab it, prep myself up, and do a backflip Quidditch with it. All right, Kaelyn, calm down. Harry Potter style. All right.
Wow.
No.
I have the chonkla.
I have my phone.
Oh man. So I've been there as far as like being asked to wear something that I didn't really like, that just did not like actually work for what we do. That was the Hayabusa forms uniforms or not. Actually the forms uniforms for traditional were good. I really liked them, but a lot of that was them asking us later on because we complained a lot about their open style uniforms because they just kept. All I saw was my chest. When I did my form, it was like, come on, all right, and they were just falling all over the place. The same thing happened with when I was on proper. The traditional uniforms are great with the company that we used, but the open ones, just weren't that same quality. So, yeah, I mean, having that opportunity to talk to them and kind of collaborate, hey, can we fix this? Can we work on this? Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know. I know it's tough, but it kind of feels like you're just, well, this is what I have to wear because my team tells me to. But I feel like it should be more of a, like you said, a collaboration, working together to make it better. Because if you're out there and you don't feel you're most comfortable, then you're not going to compete. You're most comfortable,
Right. And it's like here, you compete at this level, but now we want you to use this piece of equipment and be better. Like that piece of equipment makes me worse.
Right.
I'm fortunate enough to have a weapon sponsor, not only through Bukayushu, but Century as well, where we can have those talks. Obviously, Century has the Jackson Rudolph signature bow. Sup. Very good, by the way. Always good. But I also have Bukayushu where I can talk and customize what I'm using. I can add a core. I can add, strength to my weapon. I can choose the type of wood that I want with it. I can choose the color, font, edit all those sizes, everything. That's how I customize my own weapons to fit me so that I can do my best and feel my best.
Awesome.
And I think that's important.
Also,
can I say something? I went to the comments, and Jackson, I honestly did not see that weapon from Mike. I know you did say that he made a raffle for that for NASCA at a NASCA banquet. I did not see that weapon. I'll be honest with you. Just want to point that out, Jackson.
Awesome. And I know for me right now with the team that I'm on now, I think I was explaining to Kaelyn how it was working last time, was that we are actually sponsored by Army Sports. So we're actually sponsored by the Army. So we kind of can each 6 months or whatever, like they are asking and looking at the results of every single competitor. And okay, why didn't this person show up? Why didn't this person? Like they're involved because they're putting, government money into, a team and working hard towards it. And so right now, all it is, right now just a patch on the gi. But and when I do videos, try to share stuff that say #Army Sports. But who knows? There may be other things, because I think there's a lot of potential with that, because who are some of the best people to recruit to be in the Army? But martial artists, I think, there's a lot. So we will see how that goes. Maybe I said too much. I don't know, but oh well.
I don't think so.
But
yeah, you didn't say anything definite. But let's even just say that though, Jeff. Let's say the Army said, "All right, here we want you to do this, and this. You'd be like, well,
then I need this, and this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but we've had that
I can offer you
conversation,
this
so,
if that's what you're wanting me to do.
Right.
I also need this.
Quid pro quo, Dr. Lecter.
Yeah. Our team owner and has that conversation with them, a lot. Just, okay, if you want them to do this, this is what we need. This, so I think there needs to be that's why we have team managers to have the players back. And that's what I think should be, the key thing. I mean, I've been on teams before where we got a new sponsor that was going to sponsor our team, and we went to less tournaments than ever. And my amount of sponsorship got less after we supposedly got this big new sponsor. So, you never know how it's going to work. So, but I would just say that.
Yeah, mostly I think that question is mostly for the team owner, not for like the players or the competitors that is on that team.
But it shouldn't be though, Rashad. What Alex is saying, this is an individual sport. You should be in charge of what you want. If you want to get sponsored by as many sponsors as you want, you can.
So individual sponsors, not like a big team sponsor.
That's any of it. It's still the same thing. It's still the same thing, right, Alex? Because you could have that team sponsor some, but then you could get more. I mean, listen, Alex hasn't ever really wanted to be on a team because he never needed the sponsorship for it because he had other ways of other companies sponsoring him and paying for him to go to tournaments. So it's just kind of one of those things. Like it still needs to be in the players' hands.
Can someone sponsor me to get more PTO?
So
yeah, that's the thing. Don't chase the team and the sponsorship. That's not what you're there for. Those things are easy to happen. I've said it a long time. I think sponsorships are backwards. I think we should be sponsoring kids, not adults. If someone sponsors me, you're paying a grown man's bills. If someone sponsors a 15-year-old, he had no way of generating any kind of money to be able to go to this event.
And daddy.
Right.
All right.
I have opinions on that, but that's going to be a long conversation that we do not have time for.
Yeah, we don't have time for that. But we can leave it in the comments tomorrow. All right, guys. So, this was fun again. And I think we touched some good topics and our opinions on them. So I hope the promoters are listening. I hope coaches, parents, everyone's listening.
Share.
And again, congrats to all the new JPM members. Congrats to everyone who competed at the tournaments in Mexico. I think there was some Guatemala. That might have been the week before. Texas, great job, Kaelyn and Revolution. You guys killed it out there. So great job, guys.
Hi, Charlotte.
I had black belt testing, so I was literally here for 3 days straight. Ooh. But yeah, so it's been
tournament training with the kids.
Yeah. Yep, train, man. So
no, tournament training with the kids. So we have a tournament, Blitz tournament this weekend.
That's right.
They're asking me if I was going to compete. I'm like, I could. It's probably going to be last minute. I'll do the same thing like I did at Starcade, traditional forms and fighting. Nothing big, nothing crazy, or anything like that.
What events are we going to be at either this week or upcoming week?
What are you talking about? Oh, for events.
What tournaments you guys got coming up?
Man, I'm hitting all the NASCAR tournaments. Just know that. I wish they would open up Quebec for the Quebec Open because even Damien was telling me like that's the most with the biggest night show and everything. Like that's a great tournament to win. So, but I'm hitting all the NASCAR tournaments. Some Blitz tournaments, some local tournaments here in South Florida. Not so much, but only for fighting. Because I have students that are adults now that are competing for forms and weapons. So it wouldn't look right for me to compete against my own students.
What's your next one that you're going to be at? Next tournament, period.
This weekend.
This weekend, Blitz tournament. Blitz. About an hour away from here. About an hour away from me. NASCAR wise, Ocean State for sure.
What about you, Salef?
Probably just Battle Valanta, U.S. Open, and maybe Diamonds.
Cool.
So, yeah, just
this
dying
week,
down slowly.
Yeah, you're not dying. Salef, you can never die. I refuse to let you. This week we have a fighting camp at Team Revolution that I'll be at, and then next week I have a local tournament here in Michigan, the Champions Challenge for Dan Krusno for MSKC, and then after that will be Ocean State.
Cool.
Wait,
Awesome.
did you say you guys are doing a training camp?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Revolution
Edgar gonna be
Fighting
there?
Camp. He
Is Edgar
sure
gonna be there?
is. He sure is.
That's gonna be a fun one then.
Of course.
That will be fun.
That dude's fun to hang with.
Oh, always. Any place is a fun place if Edgar's there.
Yes, it's very true. That's a whole nother podcast.
We love Coach Cordova.
Listen. All right.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Thank you guys for joining us.
I'm Kaelyn.
Let's go.